Pleasant good morning, good evening, good night, wherever you are. Welcome to the Wednesday's episode of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption and Incompetence. Welcome, one and all. Welcome, here we are again to bring you the credible, valuable, and up-to-date information on what is going on. We are speaking out against corruption and incompetence. So welcome, one and all. As we say, once you come on, you know the drill, share the live, let people know that we're on. I guess almost everybody now know that we're on because when I see the number of students in the schoolyard this morning, again, are reaching record numbers. We continue to grow. We continue to grow from program to program, and we thank you for that. We thank you. What you can contribute to us growing even more by sharing the live, giving us a thumbs up when you come on, and that will ensure that more people are aware of the program. You know, everywhere I go, people are meeting me. My colleague, Mr. Conway, said that he has the same experience where people meeting you and telling you that they look at the program and how informative they have found the program. So yes, we are here again today, Wednesday, the 26th day, I think, the 26th day of June 2024 to bring you more valid information. My colleague, Mr. Conway, is already in the studio and he is chomping at the bits. He's ready to go to give you this valuable information that you so desire. As I said earlier, the schoolyard chock full this morning when the program went live just after 7 o'clock. And I am happy to report this morning that nobody seems to have been knocked off. I'm working all the time to try to, and we are working to try to improve this program. And I reported some time ago that when you schedule the program early, if you come out the studio when you get back in, something happens and many of the persons who were there first are knocked off. Sometimes as many as 30 yard, 20 yard are knocked off. And I know some people have complained that they have been on very early, and when the roll call is done, they are recorded basically as absence. Well, I explained it has to do with the platform, and I started this morning that maybe let's schedule the program a little later. So it was scheduled just about 7 this morning, and immediately people came on. And as I've said, no one is knocked off at this stage. I made a note, so the first person came on at 7:03 and is still there. So yes, but share the live, let people know we're on, give us a thumbs up. And as we say today, Wednesday, people said in GT, rain fell all night last night. Well, rain is falling. They tell you it's weather for young ducks. Weather for young ducks. You know, duck like water. They swim around and they play around and splash. So I don't know if you would have gone out and play around in the water last night. But it's good. We need a lot of rain to wash away the sins. That is what some people say. Guyana has become such a sinful place that we need lots of rain to wash away the sins. But this is the day that the Lord has made. Let's rejoice and be glad in it. Let's give praise and thanks for being in the land of the living. Many persons would not have been this fortunate. As we continually say, that every time, every morning you get up and you see a new day, give praise and thanks to the Almighty for allowing you that privilege. It's a privilege to be in the land of the living. So yeah, yes, share the live. And again, I need to remind you, YouTube, subscribe, hit the notification button, which is a bell on the bottom right-hand corner. Once you subscribe, you see that bell, and you're going to get the notification when the program go live. YouTube, that's YouTube. On Facebook, you like the page, Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption and Incompetence, and when we post, you're going to get the notification. You're going to get. Last night, there was a late post of one of the excerpts, and I see a lot of people have viewed it already. So please do that. I noted, too, with a lot of pleasure, that many people, as soon as the program is finished, you see more people following. I can see that. The analytics will tell me this number of persons are followed within the past few hours or so. So let's continue to not be selfish, but to share the information. And we don't want no Chinese whisper. You know what is a Chinese whisper? Basically, you have some people line up, you tell one at the top something that the others could not hear, and ask him to relay that message. And it has been proven that by the time you get to the last person, let's say there's a line of about 6, the whole message is distorted from what you actually told the first person. So we don't want that. We want people to listen to it themselves. And I have said you also have the opportunity for those who would miss the live. A lot of people like to be on the live because you can make comment and you can interact. But if you miss the live, go to YouTube. All the episodes are there. All. I think today's episode is the 45th episode for this year. And all the other episodes for last year and the previous years are on YouTube. So if you missed anything, you can go there and you can get it. They are also on Facebook. So yes, if you missed the live, you have the opportunity there to go and catch up with what is going on. Because we know in some places, some people are in offices, some people are driving, you're not able to see the live. So you have that opportunity. And continue to subscribe, continue to like the page, continue to give me the thumbs up, show your appreciation, and we're going to continue to be here. Don't research, because by now you want to recognize that when we come and we tell you things, these are things that are well researched, and we bring the information to you. Some of them, they listen, and I hope that they learn. They don't like the method in which the information is passed. But forget about the messages, forget about the method. Just consume the information, and you're going to be better off for it. Consume the information. We know they listen. We know they listen. We know. So we hope that they are, and we're giving them chance to tune in, to listen, to record. Not to find us telling anything or to defame anybody. We don't come here to defame anyone. We come to bring you the truth, the valid, the credible information. So, you know, the usual format we're going to do quickly. I'm going to try to go through it as quickly as I can, the roll call. But we have lots of students in the schoolyard this morning. And when we went live, then we had a lot of people who came on and they're there. The first man on this morning, as I said, it was scheduled around just about 7. The first man on, he regained his position as number 1. Vibert Larson, Old Police, 9066. From New York is the first person on. He was followed by Gene, then John. After John is there. It was Bert, and after Bert, Trotty came in next. Then it was Kevin, and then the man from Peters Hall and the East Bank, Anthony Bradshaw, is here. From Schenectady in New York is Sean is in the house. Then all the way from Canada, my squad mate Gaston is here, 9556. He was followed by Family Music, followed by Carlisle, and then Old Police from New York, Gibbo is here. Then the man from California is Maryland, Kenneth is in the class. Then what this man, Setret, came in next. Carlton, my squad mate, is there. Then we have Tallulah from Brooklyn in the house. Welcome. Tallulah. Then Fergus says, sorry, let me get it right. Fergus was there. What is going on? Fergus, yeah. Then after Fergus was Barbara. Then out of California, Winston. Then it was from Canada, CC's squaddy, Aubrey. Then who came next? And Aubrey came in at 7:19. Then it was Dexter, and this is Dexter McAllister. And Tessa from Florida is in the house. Then Puran came next. Jacko from Georgia is in the house. He came into the schoolyard. Then it was Evelyn, followed by Troy, followed by Patricia. And after Patricia, Patricia's from Philadelphia, incidentally. Ballard, the man in the hills of Linden. David came next. And then Pito, and David is from Region 7. David, who is here, is from Region 7 in Guyana. Pito from Queens is in the house, in the schoolyard. Isabella is here. And after Isabella, it was Sydney. Then it was Carl. And it's Carl Hannibal, because we have other Carls. Then it was Anthony. Now this is another Anthony. Jarvis. And Sharon out of the UK. Then followed by Wayne out of the UK. And then it was Joan. After Joan, who is next? Then all the way from Canada, 9795 Young. Then it was Pauline, and then it was Neville. After Neville, our friend from Baltimore who recently had a birthday, Jakey is here. Winston, and then Colin from Queens, and my good squad mate and friend BX came in next. Then it was from the UK again, Orin. My good friend Chicken is here. Then Kevin, retired assistant commissioner, is in the house. He was followed by Malcolm. Then it was Patricia, and this is Patricia Gravesandi. She is from New Jersey. Junior, Randolph Jr., old TSU rank 12538. He worked with me at the TSU. Then out of the UK again, it's Winston, followed by Ruth, then Kevin, then Hazel. After Hazel, it was Sean. Sean, good to see you on the live. Good to see you on the live. Felicia, then it was Floyd. Emerson came next. After Emerson, it was Danny. Then it was Brennan out of Brooklyn. Debbie, welcome, Debbie. Debbie is one of the persons who I think in the last program her name was struck off. Then it was Desiree. Desiree is from Georgia, the Peach State. Sherwin followed next. And after Sherwin, we had Connolly. All right, I get in. Connolly came next. After Connolly, it was Carville, my squad mate. Then from Paris, Clifton. Then it was Ezzy, Earl, Princess. Princess is from Lamar Springs. Then from West Demerara, Pamela. Then it was Akko, came in at 8:03, followed by Rawl. And Rawl says what? He signed in twice for Monday. He was removed on Monday. Queenie from Brooklyn. Keelan is here. Then it was Brenda. I think I mentioned Carl before. Yes, Brenda. Out of the UK again, Clive is here, my countryman. Then the Barrows, Magnell. And then it was Lucius, Ian, Patricia. This time it's Patricia Wren from Brooklyn. Uverny came in afterwards. She's present, she says. Then it is Brian and Saul, Courtney, Saul. And after that, we have the man from Melanie Damashana. It's Francis Keith. Francis was followed by Kay, and Kay followed by Karen, Rastaman, Denise from Florida is here. Then it was Anne, Mary from Brooklyn, Vibart from the East Bank, not a regular. Melville came next. Then it was Speaking Truth to Power. Then the man from Texas was here, Everett. Then after Everett, Vibart, Old Police, Smithy. Then Vernon, this is Vernon Beckles. Then my squad mate from Canada, Doreen, W349, is here, followed by Mr. G. Mr. G, after Mr. G, it was Glenn. Glenn was followed by Carl, another Carl. This is Carl Artman, my squad mate from Arizona, 9414. And then who came next? Schwartzy, 10025. Leon Schwartz is here. Then Melissa, Cecile. Then it was another Courtney, Largia. Then Rhonda. This is Rhonda Chance, because you have other Rhondas on the program. And we have Stefan. He says his regulation number was 12. Hold on, let me put it up. His regulation number was 12443. Vibart. This is Vibart John this time. Ronald, Wayne. See what I tell you all about the number of students. And then the original black man is back. I thought he was the original African, but he has resorted to the original black man. May is here. Then we have John. And we said pressure on the... Then after John, we have Gordon, followed by Marcia. She says she's from Queen. Colin, I know, is from New Jersey. Then it was Grantley. This is another Saul. Grantley. Then Bonita. Then Umi came next. And after Umi, it was Maureen, Trevor, Clarence, John Fraser, my shooting buddy. Then it was another Carl Johnson. Then out of Maryland, Kerry. Then another Barlow. The Barlows are well represented. Moses. After that, it was Lynette. And after Lynette, it was Lyndon, followed by George, followed by Aileen, our female umpire. Then it was Philip. Samuel from Toronto. Welcome, Samuel. I know he's a regular. Then we have Orville. He's from Linden, Jacobis. Then it was Nigel. And after Nigel, it was Henrik, followed by Addison. Rohan, the one and only Rohan Jahawar is here. Then we have Linda, followed by Chilo, followed by Diane. And then after Diane, who was next? Caribbean Tires is here, followed by Michael, David, Rhonda. This is the next Rhonda. Rhonda is from the Namsel. She says she has to go out, so she might not be on the live all the time. Denise, the secretary, is here. Devian came in at 10:37. He was followed by Dylan, followed by Morris, followed by, after Morris, who was it? Sandra. Then we have Charles. Then it was Boo. After Boo, it was Sandrine. Then Gail. I'll tell you about the number of people in this schoolyard. You know, Lance came next. Lance. Then it was Heather. Then after that, we had the first, well, Heather was the last person there on the YouTube. And then when we went live, we had Edward. Edward's always here first on Facebook, followed by Karen and Jehe. Skip you. Can't remember seeing Jehe before. And the list goes on and on and on and on. And yeah, so I'm telling you, again, we go through this roll call, give people a chance to join, and to let you know that when we talk about the numbers that we have, we are not bluffing anyone. Now, let me make the announcements before I bring in my colleague, Mr. Conway. The first is really a reminder. We announced some time ago the death of retired Assistant Superintendent John C. Ford. His regulation number was 6609. Old traffic man, traffic officer in charge of breakdown. He had his funeral service in New York some time ago, and he will be interned in Guyana on the 29th of this month. I think that is Saturday, the 29th. And the family said they're going to be awake at his resident Metamizog on the 28th. And so, yes, that is an update on John C. Ford's funeral arrangement. And we informed you on the last program of the death of retired woman Corporal George. And I said her number was 168. I was corrected. I was told her number was 176W176. She was the mother of retired Assistant Commissioner David George, known as Larry George. So she passed recently. We'll keep you updated on that arrangement. And you know, we forget to mention on the last occasion this tragic death of 3 persons in a minibus on the Mabura Trail. They were traveling there, and the report is that the vehicle got stuck in the mud, and they decided to sleep in the vehicle. I guess they turned up the windows, keep the engine going, and somehow, from the time I heard it, I said it's carbon monoxide poisoning. Dangerous thing, carbon monoxide. Well, the postmortem confirmed that it was carbon monoxide poisoning. And again, it's lack of education, you know, because carbon monoxide is a silent killer. It comes from the fumes of the exhaust. It's one of the sources, and you have to make sure that the place is ventilated. I recall some years ago, a lady and her daughter at a new home they were building somewhere at West Demerara had power. Well, I don't think they had installed power yet, so they used a standby generator, and they had it in the house. In the house, they went to sleep and never woke up, so they were poisoned. So you have to be careful. Once you have generators in the states that tell you have boilers, you have to make sure it is not leaking and it is the place is well ventilated. I want to express condolences to the relatives and friends of all those persons who have died, John and Miss George, and the relatives of these 3 persons. Now moving on, in terms of birthdays, we have a birthday, belated birthday of retired Chief Inspector, I think he was, my squad mate, BX, Charles Goodman, 9407. He's on the program now, he's on the live. He had a birthday recently. All the best to you, BX. We know you're a sportman, you're an organizer. When I say sportman, you organize some very elaborate sessions. So we are looking out for our invitations. So BX had a birthday recently. We also had the birthday recently of retired Chief Inspector. Again, I think he was that. Tristan Emmanuel Manny, 7707 Emmanuel, had a birthday recently, and Manny was a countryman, had a birthday recently. We had also recently a board date, I remember saying board date, of a former member, Donna Achilles Daniels. She used to be at the finance office. Our regulation number was 14143. She had a birthday recently. And I have two other birthdays I wish to, belated, I wish to announce, well, three. Muser, Herbert Muser, not a countryman. He used to be in the GDF, and so he's a follower. I don't think he comments, but I know he listens to the program. And we have another person who I consider a very good friend. He was a former marshal of the Supreme Court, William Blackman. Blackie had a birthday recently. And the last one, we did mention it on Monday as a upcoming birthday. But now it has passed. It was yesterday. And I'm referring to the Damian McLennan, the sergeant from that they railroaded. So to all those who celebrated recently, I want to wish you all the best, long life, prosperity, and happiness. And before I bring in CC, of course, we got to talk. The cricket is in the air. There are 3 more matches. Big teams out. West Indies out. Australia out. New Zealand out. Pakistan out. So tonight, there's the 4 semifinals. South Africa and Afghanistan. Afghanistan has surprised a lot of people. Surprise. Afghanistan beat Australia in that match. Exciting match. So tonight they're coming up against South Africa. And then tomorrow night in Guyana, you have India and England. Well, my prediction is, don't like to predict this thing, but I want to predict that the winner of tomorrow's game between England and India will win the World Cup. That is going to be a good match, given the characteristics of the pitch at Providence and the makeup of the 2 teams with the spinners and the excellent bowlers and dominant batting lineup. So that is tomorrow. Let's see what will happen there. Let me bring in Mr. Tonight at first and tomorrow. Now, one of the things I forget to mention, CC. Let me bring in CC first. And then after that, I'll CC, welcome, my brother. People are in the studio. I mean, not studio, they're in the yard, in the school. They're waiting. They're no longer in the yard. They're in this classroom waiting to hear from you. Good morning.
Okay, good morning. Praise the Lord for allowing us to be in the land of the living. Birthday greetings, belated birthday greetings, and condolences, as you mentioned. Cricket, one thing we gotta watch in Guyana. I think the weather has not been too good, and then we know if it's rain out, I'm not certain what's gonna happen or who's gonna go forward. But there are high expectations for both matches.
Yeah. Well, there's something now. I guess I got to follow up today to see what the rule says about if the matches are rained out. But, even before we get to that stage, I think 5 overs constitute a game. So if at all they can get 5 overs in, that will constitute a game. And let me tell people who do not know, who don't follow things closely, there is an official, or there will be an official cutoff time. So if the play is scheduled to start at 8:30, I think they allow for 1 hour before you start to reduce overs. And it gets to a point, if the rain is continuous and you can't get 5 overs in. So even if the rain stops later in the night, once the cutoff time reaches, that's it. That's it. So you gotta understand. You got to understand that. Now, CC, one of the things I forget to mention on Monday, man, and I will ask my students to forgive me. They had this earthquake Saturday night in Guyana, and other places felt it as well. I think it was somewhere off of Venezuela, Trinidad coast. I understand that a lot of people in Ghana were worried when they heard the door knocking and so on. Some people thought it was the feds. The federal agents come in, men run under the bed and night and all this type of thing. Men run under the bed, and I'm talking about people who are in position that believe that was part of the sanctions. So when they hear earthquake and the thing rattling and so on, men run at night under the bed, men get diarrhea, men head for the toilet. We said the epicenter was in Venezuela. Men run at night. But as we say, you do nothing, fear nothing. I was up following the cricket. And I felt it. I knew immediately what it was. And I said, hey, or I said to my wife, earthquake. But men run at night. Men run, men start feds. Oh God, oh Lord, they come for me. Now when they come, you're not even know. Some of them, you're not even know. So let me bring in CC, man. Let tell us about his experience with that little tremor, a little thing.
Well, I was up watching the cricket and was shortly after the shock defeat of Australia. So we felt the shockings. I was there with my wife watching the cricket, and she asked, "There's an earthquake. There's an earthquake." So the shocking defeat, it came right across the Guyana and Venezuela and all about the place there. But I experienced it, and I experienced several tremors before too.
Yeah, well, I have experience, Cheryl. I got two that I want to tell. I remember, I think we played a cricket match at the Providence Stadium, GDF officers versus police officers in the Commander-in-Chief trophy. And I was in the middle. I didn't really feel earthquake, but I played forward. I get ball. I played forward, and my half stump went flying. And then when I came out, you say they just had an earthquake. The thought is the impact of the ball and my stump caused the whole place to shake, man. And then a few years ago, I was working in Jamaica, and I think I was at the 12th or 10th story, a Saturday, and they had an earthquake. And I feel the building shaking and shaking. When you look out, then all the water from the pool, that's the biggest one I felt. The water from the pool was coming out of all of that and so on. Yeah. So as we said, do nothing, fear nothing. When the feds come for you, whether it's rendition, whether it's extradition, you're not going to... they're going to let you know. Most likely, they're going to let you know. Now, the next thing, CC, today is June the 26th. Back in the day, in the force, you would have been making preparations for anniversary activities. The force was established on the 1st of July, 1839. And we had lots of force anniversary activities, including church services, plan for route march, and people would have looked forward for promotions. People are going to look forward for promotions. We don't know because everything now is a secret, so we don't know if they have they're planning for church service. Most likely they are. And also the anniversary route march, which is always a spectacle around Georgetown, and the promotion list used to be released. When I was a trainee in 1974, some of my squad mates would remember that. Anniversary route march, TSU, of course, and apparently that was a Saturday. They always kept the route march on a Saturday. The Friday afternoon, apparently people had anticipated the order with promotion, and some information was leaked that some people got promoted. And those who were promoted, make sure TSU ranks, put on the stripes. I remember people like 7101 Martin, Live Good used to call it. They put on the two stripes, even though the thing wasn't official. The story goes that during the route march, when they marched past the Commissioner of Police, Henry Fraser, in front of police headquarters, Henry Fraser remarked to, I think it's Mr. Gravesandi, Mr. Gravesandi, TSU get enough new stripes, man. How come? And then they realized that the thing was prematurely released, and they withheld the promotion order for a few days. So all these men who the Saturday they route march, they put on, and of course those old police would know that once you put on there, when the route march finished, you have to go to the West End and buy drinks. So all them buy drinks and so on, and then the order did not come up. But eventually they were promoted. So I guess a lot of people in the force are looking forward, because since 2022, when they had that controversial list that the chessboard bishop said they weren't at that stage yet, and then the next day, that was on the 1st of July, he said so, and then the next day a list of 200 and that people that was given to him. Given to him, it was a promotion was made. First time in the history of the Ghana Police Force, as far as I know, that a promotion came out with government order at the same time. You understand this? Government order. Because the normal process, I'm talking about senior promotions, is that the promotions will be made, people will be given their letter, it's going to be published in some special order. And then when the dates and all the seniority and all of those things are arranged, much later, you're going to get the government order, because it's the government order which allows persons to be paid and makes it official and so on. But not so in 2022, but since then they hadn't any. So the ranks quite justifiably are looking out. And I know you're going to get a lot of disappointment. I know, because how the system works now is going to be those who are favored. So whether you get disciplinary matters, whether you're laundering money, whether you're involved in criminal or other activities, chances are that those transgressions are going to be overlooked and those people are going to be favored. CC, what are your views, my brother?
I always remember 2022, and I always remember the guy who called himself a bishop. He went on social media. He was asked about promotion, and he said he was waiting on the recommended list from the commission. That was on the 1st of July, after the church service. And lo and behold, on the 2nd of July, a list of 250 something persons were promoted. You mentioned the government order was also there, although there are discrepancies between the lists from the service commission and the government order. And they couldn't afford do any due diligence, I understand what the bishop was told. Hey, you don't know the men, none of you know the men. Whatever the commission send, you promote. So the list, if it went there, the list went there. They had no corrections, no addition, nobody didn't delete anything. Just how it go, just how it come back. Therefore, they had a lot of supersessions. I remember one Inspector Prem Narayan with no known academical or professional achievement moved from an inspector to a superintendent. Remember, Prem Narayan was a person who they had installed as chairman of the police association, and he was given a list from Freedom House saying, these are the persons we want you, names of the persons that we want to send to the parliament for them to be members of the police service commission. Therefore, it wasn't surprising there was payback time for him to move from inspector to superintendent. Triple jumper, perhaps say the Olympics is around the corner. Maybe you can send him to the Olympics, you win a gold medal. But analysts, there's so many things there. Persons with disciplinary matters spending. Brutus had disciplinary matters spending. He moved from sergeant to assistant commissioner. Karim Bash had disciplinary matter pending. He moved from as a sergeant from senior to assistant commissioner. We had Prem Narayan had disciplinary matter spending. We had Jupiter, woman superintendent, Jupiter from ASP to superintendent. The commander on the East Coast, on the region 4C had this disciplinary matter pending. A whole set of them had disciplinary matter pending, and they were promoted. Ranks who didn't pass the appropriate qualified examination promoted. That a man who left the work, they promoted. Persons who don't pass the promotion exam. So many of the irregularities that took place there. I hope this time they were able to correct it. Although I'm holding my breath, so that the persons who are really due, really qualified for promotion will be promoted. But we hear nothing, so let's keep our ears on the ground to see what will happen after the 1st of July.
Well, yeah, it's when you talk about that promotion, because that thing has demoralized the force. I know from what has happened over the past couple of years, there are two major incidents that has accelerated the demoralization of the force. People leaving the job because of that. And the first one was the promotion that was made in June of 2021, and the government refused to recognize those promotions. Even though the court held that the suspension of the Police Service Commission, of which I was a chair and you will remember, was unlawful, unconstitutional. The court so ruled. And he said that the action of the president in suspending the commission was null, void, and of no legal effect. It means, therefore, that the promotions that were made by the Police Service Commission that we were on the 28th of June 2021 is valid. But they have not, 43 persons, I think it was, as suffered because of the action of the government. Anil Nandlal on the 29th of June 2021 went on NCN, on Issues in the News, and said government will not recognize the promotions. And they did not. They have not, in many cases, up to now, recognized. So that has led to the demoralization. And another major incident is the same one you referenced, where people were promoted on the 2nd of July. People who went past exam, people who get disciplinary matter pending, and all of that. In the case of Prem Narayan, you mentioned, Prem Narayan has he joined the force and he got 3 promotions, 3, and he's a superintendent. His first promotion was from constable to corporal, the second from corporal to inspector, the third promotion from inspector straight to superintendent. A man without any real policing knowledge and academic qualification. Nothing qualifies him for that type of acceleration except that he is favored by the political directorate. And he was one of the ranks, he was one of the persons at the Ashman building when they had that fiasco there with people trying to break into the chairman's office. He was one of the leaders in that. A police inspector who at the time was stationed at West Demerara came to Tong, I think it was, to go to court, some other court, and found himself at the Ashman building with the president, the vice president, well, he wasn't president then, with Irfan Ali, Jagdeo, and many other the people trying to get into the chairman's office. So I guess he get payback for all of that. This is the same inspector who the magistrate found to be in contempt of court and jail sentenced him. And then they went to the Chief Justice the same day, and the Chief Justice said, well, time served. In other words, I think he was jailed for a week. And then when the matter came up before the Chief Justice, she just said, well, time served. But she did not say that to quash the decision of the magistrate. And that is what you have. So these things must be demoralizing to people who are hard workers. And I understand recently a certain senior man asked the extended squatter, why is it that so many people are leaving the force? People are leaving, and you know what they're doing? CC, I don't know if you're aware. A lot of people have gotten to the stage where they decide they have 33 and a third year service, or they have reached the age of 51, and they're applying for early retirement. And they're refusing them that. They refuse to grant them early retirement. People who want, normally, and people don't know, once they get to 33 and a third year service, 33 and a third, you can up to for early retirement, because I think the saying is that after then you're not going to get anything more on your benefits. So a lot of people decide you put in the service, especially you join at 18, so that 51 plus you get 33 and a third year service. People decide to leave. They are refusing. That is the government, not the police. The government refusing to allow people to leave. I recall when we were the commission, people applied for early retirement, and our position is that if a man don't want to remain in the job, if he qualifies for early retirement, let him go. Let him go. But they're not doing that. They're fearful, because if you allow people to retire 33 and a third now, I guess almost all of those who have reached that age, given what is going on, will have to leave. And a lot of people have been leaving. Hundreds and hundreds for this year. Some people resigning. Some people decide they resign, just walking off the job. They go on what we call owl. People just going off. They're disgusted with what is going on. People have communicated with me, seeking advice and guidance, right? So that is what we have. CC, are you aware of the number of persons who are retiring and the block on early retirement in the force?
Yeah, I'm aware. A lot of persons contacted me, but surprisingly, one person got through because I give that person certain advice who had reached 50 years and wanted to opted for early retirement, and that person got you. But many other persons, I know of who have opted for early retirement, but nothing, no, they ain't got you, and I don't know what is going on, but it is there.
Yeah, but that is such a foolish policy. A person wants to go. Why are you going to keep them? How productive is that person going to be? The person's heart is no longer in the job. Basically, we do it now. Once they get there, you refuse them. They're just marking time. They're just marking time. And I don't think at that stage anybody gonna want to get themselves involved in anything. So people are gonna report it. People are gonna go to work, do as little as possible, and get home and just pray to God that they get to 55 and then they retire. So let's understand this. That is what is going on in the force. People are demoralized. The ranks are demoralized by the attitude of some of the senior ones and how they treat them, cuss them out, and belittle them and all of that. So yeah, that is what. So let's wait to see when the promotion comes out, if it comes out, what will be the thing. But we say, all promotion lists, even when we made promotions, some people are going to feel dissatisfied. Some people are going to feel that they were overlooked unjustly and so on. But the important thing, and that's what we said when we were there, any person who feels that they should have been promoted and not promoted, come to the commission. We're going to explain to you the reason why. And that is why we made sure that when the police administration, people like Brutus, sent the list to us to tell us that persons should not be promoted because they have pending disciplinary matters. And on the same return, as we call it, to the commission, he is recommending himself to be promoted, even though he too had the disciplinary matters. You see how these people self-serving? The Chief Justice said that Brutus was self-serving, and the evidence suggests so, because you're writing to the Police Service Commission to say that ranks should not be promoted. I think it was 13 ranks. I have the list someplace of the ranks who should not be promoted because of pending disciplinary matters. And on the same list, the same document, you are recommending yourself to be promoted, and you have a pending disciplinary matter. Unprofessional, self-serving, and unprofessional. And I will continue to call it out. I will continue to speak the truth. They don't like hear the truth, but I will continue to speak the truth. Right? And then we are Ulrich's son, Corporal 15973 Fu. He was promoted to sergeant, and then they subsequently rescinded the promotion. What is the reason? We had a case too with Inspector Sergeant Hoyt. The commission before us promoted to inspector, and then a complaint by a friend of the former commissioner that this man gets some civil matter before the court, and the commission reviewed the promotion, and they went and investigated the matter, only to discover that that wasn't so. The allegation that he had pending matter wasn't so, and they were told, no, don't let me rescind, let me investigate first. But that is the way the commission was run then. And when we tried to straighten things out, we ran afoul of the president, and he suspended the commission on the 16th of June 2021, when the commission only had less than 2 months. Commission life would have ended, and did end on the 8th of August. And on the 16th of June, the president unconstitutionally, unlawfully, arbitrarily, these are words used by the judge in the case, suspended the Police Service Commission. So the members of the force, you got to keep your fingers crossed. Keep your fingers crossed, because now people will tell you it's not about how you work and all of that. It's about whether you are favored. And you're going to see a lot of the people who are known to be corrupt and criminally involved in matters, money laundering and all of that. You're going to hear they're getting preference above the hardworking, diligent people. Let me move on. Now, we noted recently, and I smile when I see these things. I'm smiling. The appointment, I think today they are to be sworn of 10 new judges, puny judges, judges of the High Court. Remember, I mentioned some time ago, I have these 3 matters before the acting chief magistrate, as she was then. And I said to you that I had reservation when the magistrate said that the matters will commence on the 25th of June. I say I had reservations. On the first program, I did not mention what I failed to mention what the reservations are. And the students reminded me that I had promised to mention. I said, well, look, I'm not going to be, it's not being disrespectful. But it was said, there was an article in Newsroom, and the Attorney General too said that persons will soon be appointed as judges, and the chief magistrate name was listed among those. And I said then, if the chief magistrate is listed to be appointed as a judge, it means that my matter will be kicked further down on the road. And so said, so done. So said, I tell you, man. So when I went to court on the last occasion, 2 weeks ago, when the matter was called, the matter was set for the 25th, which would have been yesterday. And then the lawyers advised me that the matter was called up earlier, or earlier date. I was required to attend, and 10 o'clock. I waited, and then the lawyers communicated to me that the matter had been called earlier. And my lawyer represented me, and the magistrate indicated, well, look, this matter is going to be put to another magistrate. And I waited until 10 o'clock. I was admitted into the virtual hearing, and the magistrate informed me that the matter had been discussed before, and the lawyers agreed that it doesn't make any sense for her to start the matter, and that the matter is going to be assigned to whoever is the new chief magistrate. And she did inform me that she was proceeding on leave the following week, and that she would not be returning as the chief magistrate, which was a clear signal that the appointment would have been made. Clear signal. And I called out the Judicial Service Commission before, because when the names of the persons to be appointed as judges was sent to newsroom, and they carried an article with all the names and so on, the Judicial Service Commission, a release on their behalf, called out the newsroom for prematurely giving out this information. And I took objection, but not objection, but I called them out. I called out the Judicial Service Commission because the Attorney General Anil Nanlal did something similar on NCN. I think it was on the 30th of the March or April, whatever it was. He announced the names of the persons to be appointed, the very names, the very 10 names that were appointed here. He announced it. And I asked the question, how can the Judicial Service Commission, in all good conscience, call out the newsroom and not call out the Attorney General at the same time? And I asked, did they feel intimidated? Were they afraid to call out the Attorney General for prematurely releasing the names of the persons to be appointed as judges? I asked the question then. So I knew all along that the matter is going to be kicked down the road. So I've gotten to the stage now where we have to wait to hear who is going to be the new acting or substantive chief magistrate, to hear when this matter now, 3 years and counting. 3 years. They said justice delayed is justice denied. 3 years and counting. False allegations against you, and you have to sit back, spend a lot of money to travel, spend a lot of money for all kind of thing. And that is what the justice is in this country. That is what. So these judges are going to be appointed according to the release. They should be sworn in today. Perhaps they've already been sworn in. I don't know. But let's wait and see. CC, I'm sure you would have seen that man in the news about the judges to be appointed. Judges, they were appointed by the Judicial Service Commission, not to be appointed. They were appointed by the Judicial Service Commission, but they had to be sworn in today. Your take, my brother.
Yeah, I saw the news and they're to be sworn in. But then getting back to your matter, 3 years and counting. A simple matter where females say you rub our legs on three occasions, three different days, whilst we were doing the review of the police standing order, and they can't. This case cannot start. Yeah, it cannot start, and then the president opening his mouth and all about the rule of law, and then and the rule of law. Where is the rule of law? And getting back to the Attorney General, I can remember the Caribbean Court of Justice call him out, rebuke him for prematurely releasing the decision of the court. They had made a decision and said, embargo, this thing mustn't be released until so and so time and so and so date. And he went ahead. And you know what he did? He like Shaggy, it wasn't me. He blamed it on his IT administrator, who up to now has remained nameless. So all kind of things happening, Paul. All kind of things happening. And they had also made some appointments from magistrates. I think they're working, but then in terms of assignment, Paul, remember we discussed it. Nobody has the lawlessness on the roads taking place in traffic, and nobody has been appointed a traffic magistrate. We can't find a magistrate, and we're hearing thousands and thousands of ticket cases made. So you can't get no trial in these matters. But it's a rule of law.
The rule of law, Guyana style. The rule of law, Guyana style. Now moving on, let me there's an issue that we thought we'll mention because it involves corruption, we know. And we're talking about the government cash grant. There was a big fanfare that they're gonna start to distribute government cash grant. I read in the papers this morning that some recipients were robbed, and I was not surprised because perhaps Ghana is the only country where you're going to have billions of dollars paid to people by cash, Ghana currency. That in itself is a recipe for corruption. Cash. So the report is that people who collected their monies, I understand that each child is entitled to 45,000 Ghana dollars. So the parent will collect. So imagine if you get 3, 4 children going to school, it's 45,000 multiplied by that number. And, we know what the crime situation is in Guyana. And the report is that some people were robbed. And it is inexplicable that in this modern age, you're going to be giving people money by cash. I'm sure almost everybody get a bank book or a bank account. What about checks? But the saying is that if you write a check, then there is going to be a paper trail. If you do direct transfer into a person's account, you're going to get paper trail and you can't thief. But when you decide to go to places, remote areas and other places with cash money, that is a recipe for corruption. Recipe, because you can claim, okay, this household has 4 children when there are only 2 or 3. And a lot of fictitious name and all of these things we're going to sign also at a left-hand signature, as we used to call it. But it's a recipe for corruption and for crimes as well. Because when these persons walking down the road with all this money, they're going to the residence, people they are targets, you make them targets. And then big thing in the paper where they're going to give the cash grant on particular days and so on. These people have no sense of security. Given the prevailing circumstances in Guyana, rampant crime, you're going to announce publicly, as NCN and these people will do, where these grants are going to be distributed and so on. You're setting people up. You're setting up those parents to be robbed, and God forbid anything worse should happen to them. That is what is happening. So, CC, I'm sure you would have seen that, and it is disturbing to know. It is disappointing, perhaps not surprising, that in this modern age, all this money in cash being taken around the place. Your views?
I agree with you. And then I saw a release from the Ministry of Education showing a boat in Region 1 taking persons there to do the payment. So they are alerting the people, hey, this boat is gone in there with these people. And I don't need that too. There's corruption because I understand there are certain people who are favored by the government, granted contract or granted payment to escort the money. Then the police, in the most instances, that certain security service corruption granted the approval to escort the money about the place and secure the money. And then I hear, or I've seen some of the money because I get grandchildren who go into school and their parents got money, but I don't take them on this as the children. And the money like the print money, newly minted money. Apparently, like they print a whole set of money about the place there. But the old security arrangements need to be overlooked and revamped, especially dealing with cash grants, not only with the children, but in future cash grants.
Well, as I say, cash grant is designed, the manner in which it's designed is to facilitate corruption. That is my view. Cash grant is designed to facilitate corruption. Because when people got to go around with cash money, it opens itself, it lends itself to all type of skullduggery, which I understand is what is going on. Now, to move on, last Monday when we on the program, we remarked on the press conference last Thursday where the president held in or stood in for the vice president. The vice president has this Thursday views out every Thursday, come for call people criminal, them live in basement and all of that. So he was aware that the vice president last Thursday. So the president fit in. And as we said, they resurrect for some time now Kit Nascimento to be the moderator. And there was this exchange between the president and a young reporter, 28 years old from Kaicho News. Let me play it again. Let me play the interaction. And then at the end of this, we're going to tell you about a letter written by Kit Nascimento. Here's the reaction.
I am 28, sir.
And where do you live?
In Kitty.
You own your own home?
Not as yet.
Applied for a house lot?
No, not as yet.
Well, sit down. You're not participating on the enhancement of your own life. At 28 years, you should be making better life decisions. Think about it. Thank you. Bye.
Folks, you saw that. Kit Nascimento wrote a letter, published on the 25th yesterday, wrote a letter to the editor. And among the things that Kit Nascimento said in the letter, I'm not going to read the whole letter, but he said every president has his style and his manner of answering questions at a press conference. President Ali likes to be conversational with reporters, and far from being hostile to Belgrave, he answered him, albeit unconventionally, as the airing of the press conference attests, in a light-hearted manner, like a father speaking to a son. Let me play this tape back again. Kit Nascimento is saying that what we are seeing here is the president, far from being hostile to Belgrave, he answered him, albeit unconventionally, as the airing of the press conference attests, in a light-hearted manner, like a father speaking to a son. Let me play it one more time, and you make your assessment.
How old are you?
I am 28, sir.
And where do you live?
In Kitty.
You own your own home?
Not as yet.
Applied for a house lot?
No, not as yet.
Well, sit down. You're not participating on the enhancement of your own life. At 28 years, you should be making better life decisions. Think about it. Thank you. Bye.
Kit Nascimento says that was like a father speaking to a son, and he wasn't hostile. He answered him, albeit unconventionally, at the airing of the press conference attests. That airing, he said, attests to the president speaking to the young reporter Belgrave, like a father to his son. And I want you to be the judge, students. You be the judge. Kit Nascimento, Goebbels, a propagandist. That is what he don't. In other words, he's telling us, don't believe our ears and our eyes. That is not what took place. That response by the president was so arrogant. And you know, the Kaicho News did an editorial, and let me read part of it before I bring in Mr. Conway. It says, a few months ago, many Guyanese were clapping when, in a very undignified manner, President Irfan Ali sought to berate BBC journalist Stefan Sakur during an interview. We believe the thrust of what Mr. Ali said during the exchange was sound, and that most Guyanese do not have any particular trouble with him standing up for this country. The issue was not his tone, the issue was his tone and the undignified manner in which he did what he did. We had seen the same behavior before when he manhandled one of his bodyguards who had been blocking his path at a building expo walkabout. Then there was a public shaming of the Guyana Power and Light engineer during a meeting on the lower East Coast Demerara with his supporters. This is not the manner of national leaders, but let me read it back, sorry. This is not the manner of national leaders. Should never be. These shabby episodes project too much arrogance, a crude impatience, almost a playing to the crowd in the style of a sports entertainment figure who came into much money. In the instance of money, we wonder whether it is intoxicant of power that has vanquished all his training in basic courtesy. That's presuming that he ever had such training. The way he spoke to the teachers in the earlier days of the strike and his crude interaction with building contractors whenever he decides to inspect progress on public works project, are also worth noting. If we are to go by these incidents alone, one can only imagine his interactions with his cabinet members and other senior public servants. The idea of a president being in the forefront and taking a hands-on approach to his job is commendable, but he must do so with humility and respect for citizens. Speaking to ordinary citizens anyhow, as we say in local parlance, is unbecoming of a national leader. His belittling of a young reporter, Sherwin Belgrave, last week at his news conference raises question about his temperament and how he views ordinary citizens. For someone who was born of working class parents and understood the difficulties of this economy, President Ali concluded that because at the age of 28, Belgrave does not own a home or has not applied for a house lot means he was wasting his life. The meaning for sure, unpresidential it was. Let there be no mistake. Such a measurement of one's standard of living or aspiration is very skewed. Unlike Ali, who at the age of 28 was appointed housing minister due to being in the right place with the right people to champion him, regardless of his mettle. Mr. Belgrave is not so privileged. As a working class citizen, he earns his honest living, plying his trade as a reporter. He was not unpicked like some who work closely with the president for a house lot in some of the more well-developed schemes. Neither was he ushered into the construction sector as some of the many fly-by-night contractors who are being given multi-million-dollar contracts with no prior experience in the field. At 28, Mr. Belgrave, like so many other Guyanese, might not be able to do many things with his salary owing to the high cost of living, which President Ali can do something about but has failed to do. It will be inspiring to observe President Ali bring the same energy and authority to make the cost of living be about as manageable living for ordinary Guyanese. At 28, Mr. Belgrave has not been strategically placed to acquire state properties below market value and use the privilege of his state office to indulge in corrupt practices, to enrich his family and friends. He has to earn the hard way honestly. At 28, Mr. Belgrave works as a reporter day by day and as an entertainment host by night. It would be interesting to know what else other than housing and water duties Mr. Ali was involving when at 28 he was ensconced at the Ministry of Housing. What is known and perhaps worth repeating is that 2 years after being appointed minister, Mr. Ali was able to acquire a property from Gaisuko and constructed a house at Lenora, West Coast, Demerara, which at the time was the talk of the country. As was reported by this newspaper back then, the house appears to accommodate 8 bedrooms, a large living room, a detached kitchen, and a walkway that runs around the front of the building. In addition to the home, there is a multi-million-dollar pool house. Perhaps Mr. Ali should tell Mr. Belgrave how it is one can acquire such vast wealth on a public servant's salary at a relatively young age of 30. We urge President Ali to be more circumspect, to grow in a more mature manner into the leadership role that is now his. Again, by being favored through circumstances that many Guyanese still have their own ideas, lighten up President Ali. Remember this, pride goeth before it a fall. Pride goeth before a fall. And not only that, what they talk about, I remember when they had the opening of the new highway there, a British journalist confronted the president in the manner he was speaking to people. The British president, this is uncouth, this is rumshop behavior. Sit down. You're not, and Kit Nasty Mento is saying that he was far from being hostile. He answered him, albeit unconventionally, at the airing of the press conference attest in a light-hearted manner. That what light-hearted about that? Where do you live? Kitty. How old are you? You have your own home, you apply for a house, well, sit down, you're not participating. What is light-hearted about that? Mr. Conway, tell me, oh Lord, let me bring you in, man. Let me bring you in the studio to tell me what is light-hearted about the manner in which the president reacted to the young reporter. Go ahead.
It was never light-hearted, And I read Nascimento's letter, very lengthy. He's a journalist. Maybe he was in journalism even before I was born. And I expected much more there. To me, it was like an elephant going into labor and giving birth to a mouse. I repeat, an elephant going into labor and giving birth to a mouse. He used about in excess of 400 words talking about his relationship with former presidents and a whole set of irrelevant things. When the main point in issue was the interaction with the president and the journalists. So but over 400 words used talking about was a whole lot of trash. And then when he come to the main point, the bone of contention, I think he used about 70 words. And let me talk about some of the things he said. I repeat something he said. He said, hey, that President Ali likes to be conversational with reporters, and far from being hostile to Belgrave, he answered him a bit unconventionally, as the hearing of the press conference attests, in a light-hearted manner, like a father speaking to a son. After the press conference, the president, in fact, had a friendly chat with Belgrave. I'm not doubting maybe he might have been the president is likes to be conversational with reporters, but in this instance, he didn't display that. And I see no evidence of a real father-son relationship. The president was very arrogant there, extremely arrogant. They know no father. And what is it if for some reason he had a light-hearted conversation after it, the die was already casted. No, and then even with the letter to dealing with the letter, he used after he used about 70 words to describe the confrontation between the president and the journalist. He went on and another writing a whole of irrelevancy and nonsense about what took place there. He used another over 300 words with the irrelevancies. The point is, the point was the confrontation between the reporter and the president. And that is what Nascimento did not properly address. To put it plainly, the president was arrogant, or we use a word we say he was class. He didn't display no statesmanship there. He didn't display no fatherly relationship there. Or perhaps in closing, I might say perhaps the Nascimento's computer had misfunction, had malfunction. Nascimento computer malfunction when he was writing there.
Yeah, that the only computer malfunction. He malfunctioned too. He malfunctioned as well. But I'm saying that interaction can never be described as being civil. Never. And as Kaicho News pointed out, it is not an aberration. That is the way the president behaves. They reference the BBC interview when he very aggressively, then the engineer on the East Coast, then the bodyguard, where he tugged the man in the presence of the US ambassador and all these people, fully assaulted him, right? Then I said when they had the opening of the Heroes Highway, a British journalist, he come and the man had to tell him about his demeanor, the demeanor. This man believe that type of behavior is rump-sharp behavior. Is rump-sharp. And if you are the president of a country, one would expect that you behave in a more civil manner. And Kit Nascimento, you can't expect better thing for him. He's singing, singing for his supper. So he felt the mere fact, as somebody just commented, the mere fact that he felt compelled to write a letter is evidence to me that he knew that the president acted inappropriately. So he felt he need to come and give you this long-winded salawala, we call it in the country. He felt so. So that's why he came out with this thing. And as I've said before, I said it on Monday, and people can perhaps now relate to that. That is the attitude the president had with me over the telephone on the 23rd of December, 2020, when he called me in respect of, he didn't call me, when I was asked to make a call to him in respect to the promotion list, which we had created the same day. That is the same type of cross, hostile, aggressive behavior, uncouth behavior he confronted me with. After initially being very cordial, once he was told that Butas and Karimba's names were not on the promotion shortlist because, and the reasons were given to him. But the man doing the same manner, even when I tried to tell him, look, this is not the way, how long you have a thing? And if you hear the man carrying on the phone, if you hear, so when I related that, and some people might have been doubtful because people believe that slow line, a president is not going to behave in that manner. You see for yourself, and this is not a one-on-one conversation. In my case, it was me and he on the phone. I don't know if you had anybody else listening in, but in this case with Belgrave, it was, they said, but 19 other persons, I can't take it Nascimento, 19 persons were there. And let me say this too. You know, one of the disappointing things, if you listen to that tape that we played, that when the president is berating and belittling a journalist, his colleagues are sniggering. They find it amusing. Sad commentary on those persons who are there. I don't expect you all to get up and confront the president and tell the president he should not have done so, but to be sniggering, to be laughing when your colleague is being berated unnecessarily so by the president speaks volumes of the people we call journalists and reporters, speak volumes of for those who were there at that time. Shame on you all. Shame on you. I don't know if Mr. Cameron wants to say anything more about this, but we can move on. Anything you want to say on this?
Yeah.
So, Mr. Cameron?
And if you look at the letter to you, Paul, the very first sentence, the opening, here we say, I write this letter because I believe it needs to be written and not on behalf of the office of the president. Let me go over. I write this letter because I believe it needs to be written and not on behalf of the office of president. Listen to it. And then if you go back to the reporter, if the reporter uttered certain words, I don't know what happened. If the reporter said, yes, Mr. President, when I turn 30 and I start engaging corruption and I start thief money like some senior government officials, I'm going to apply for a house lot and I'm going to build my own house. I wonder what would have happened then.
Well, Alec, me, you see, you would have given all of them. I would have tell you, say, well, look, the only reason, sir, I'm unable to get the house lot of the thing is because I don't want to get involved in the corruption that is going on in that system, right? You tell him that. And I said, perhaps if I had been given one of those contracts, like Critic and all of those people, I wouldn't have to apply for no house lot and think I would have built me house cash. I would have been able to do, like, perhaps if I was in a position like the senior police officer who laundering $16.5 million, I ain't got to beg and apply for no house lot. I would have got a lot of assets. You see, they said the teacher don't beat for the question, is the answer. The teacher don't beat for the question, the teacher beats for the answer. But I guess the young boy at 28 get the old future ahead of him, whereas us, according to the Volkswagenists, us geriatrics can say whatever we want to say because we are on our way out. And therefore, but again, to close this thing, the behavior of the president was unprofessional, not unsurprisingly unprofessional, crass behavior. And I have no expectation that he's going to learn or do anything better. Because it's a Thursday day, it's a Thursday afternoon thing. Yeah, Patricia, Rumshap got a behavior. It's a Thursday afternoon thing. So look tomorrow, you're going to see similar behavior from the other person who will take back the portfolio. And that is what happens. That is what happens. All right, let me move on. Now, there's an issue. Well, first of all, let me remind you that you need to give me a thumbs up. I don't see enough. We have hundreds and hundreds of people there, and I need some more thumbs up. Now, let me say this. Let me give a little laugh first before I saw a release today from the police. This is perhaps part of the humor for today. Police, this is today's Stabrook News. Police receive Yamaha outboard engine. Police Corporate Communication Unit, I guess. It's a three paragraph. You tell Lance to read it. The Ghana Police Force has significantly enhanced its marine capabilities with the acquisition of a 40-ounce. Y'all forgive me though. Y'all forgive me. I find this thing so amusing. It says the Ghana Police Force has significantly enhanced its marine capabilities with the acquisition of a 40-horsepower Yamaha outboard engine. Robeson Ben, Minister of Home Affairs, presented the engine in a ceremony at the ministry's Brickdam office yesterday. The outboard engine, procured by the Community Policing Group, is destined for Region 9, bolstering the Ghana Police Force's emergency response and crime-fighting capabilities in an area currently grappling with extensive flooding. A release from the police said yesterday, 140 horsepower engine has significantly enhanced its marine capabilities. Think about that. Well, somebody said to me that if you had none and you get one, then you can say that there's a significant enhancement. A 40 horsepower engine to the police force in a region has significantly enhanced its marine capabilities. Jeez, you can't believe these people, you know. You can't believe these people. Let me bring in Mr. Conway and show you want to say something about this. CC, a 40 horsepower engine has significantly increased the capabilities, the marine capabilities. What say you?
Well, if you had none, and as you mentioned, you know, and you get one now, you know, it is significant. It's 100% increase, you know. And I mean, I agree that the Region 9, they get a lot of floods and so on. They get some rivers and so on. There are times when they tackle too with overflow. But what they should get mostly is a land transportation. The flood water is going to go recede. It's going to go away. And I don't know where they're going to use it. They didn't say which area they're going to use it. But, you know, and then I'm happy that I didn't hear it was a donation from someone of the big companies about the place, you know. But to give the police the resources is a good step, but they're just a minor thing. They need to have major resources, and not only Region 9. What about the other regions? What about the 270 coastal plain that we have there, that we have police? What about the Cayuni? What about the Mazaroni? What about the Potaro? And what about the Borimo? What about the Waini and other rivers that they have the police? 140 HP and then you're boasting about it? No. They gotta come good and they gotta come far better than what they're doing, man.
But you see, you missed an important part. Here, the last paragraph. Let me read back the last paragraph for you, man. The outboard engine procured by the Community Policing Group is destined for Region 9. So the thing was procured by the Community Policing Group. So is the Community Policing Group making a donation to the police force, man? Anyhow, yeah, go ahead.
Well, perhaps there might be some businessman in the Community Policing Group who donated it, you know, and looking for preferential treatment, you know. So, you know, all the things that you got to examine before you jump to any real conclusion. Was significant. What is significant about that?
Well, yes, I don't know what is significant. Perhaps they can explain to us what is significant. But let me go on to this next item. The next item that I'm dealing with, let me put up this thing, and we dealt with it, I think it was last Thursday, and I told you we were to deal with it Monday, but time did not permit. And I know the writing is fine, but let me read to you what is here. The scandalous removal of the 3 top officers from Guyana's largest financial institution, the New Building Society, hijacking of the New Building Society. This is a book. It's on Amazon, and I invite you folks who have access to get a copy and to read this book. But for the rest of this morning's session, I am going to explain. We are going to explain what really transpired in this situation. We are going to do so. Just let me one moment. Let me pick up this document that I got to read from. Now, this whole thing relates to the a complaint from Mr. Morris R. June, who was the CEO at the New Building Society. He complained to the Ombudsman, who was at the time Justice Winston Moore. And he said, I'm going to read part of the complaint, so bear with me so you can get a full understanding of what this is all about. And the thing says, complaint by Morris R. June to the Ombudsman of Guyana. The written complaint. Mr. Morris R. June made a written complaint dated January 16, 2024 to the office alleging a multiplicity of wrongdoing, alleging a multiplicity of wrong done to him and two senior managers of the New Building Society Limited, NBS. Mr. Arjun claimed to have been a former Director, Secretary, Chief Executive Officer of the NBS, where he was employed as the management, then executive directorship level for nearly 30 years with an unblemished record until the events complained above. Mr. Arjun stated, and this is the complaint that he stated, on June 1st, 2007, two managers and I were deliberately and maliciously charged for an alleged fraud, which the police and the Director of Public Prosecutions, DPP, as well as the Board of Directors of MDS knew we did not commit, and which was also confirmed by several investigations at the NBS. After 3.5 years of blatant delay in the criminal court and without providing a shred of evidence of any wrongdoing, my case was finally dismissed and the managers a year later. Despite the fact that the DPP had stated in a letter to the board that she had strong and compelling evidence against us, this totally untrue statement was subsequently repeated by the DPP to the Chancellor acting. Mr. Arjun claimed that he brought a proceedings in the High Court against the DPP through the Attorney General alleging malicious prosecution. The proceeding was dismissed by the Honorable Judge. Mr. Arjun filed an appeal, which is still pending. At that time, it was still pending. The following are excerpts of Mr. Arjun's complaint. I want you to listen to what Mr. Arjun complained about. And he's been quoted here. At the time of the trumped-up charge, I was 6 months away from retirement, when I would have been entitled to receive a lucrative monthly pension and substantial benefits. Despite my exemplary performance record with never even a warning letter, and the fact that over 5 months of investigation at the NBS, which the board was fully aware of, and of which never linked me to any wrongdoing whatsoever, the New Building Society Board terminated my service, stating fraud and negligence and serious misconduct, none of which is correct. I believe that an independent investigation will reveal that the persons from the Central Islamic Organization, CIOG, including the DPP, did not want to take action against the perpetrators identified, and that the wrongful charge and subsequent termination of service were instituted to take over the NBS as punishment for certain decisions and or recommendations I made, which was in the interest of the New Building Society, but was deemed unfavorable to the President of Guyana and certain directors of NBS. Based on my own investigation, credible information received, and what has since been officially revealed in court, stated below is a list of persons involved directly or indirectly and their participation in this evil injustice, for which the attachments support the allegation made herein. May I also say that while the NBS is supposed to be a private company, it is run by persons aligned to the government and the Central Islamic Organization of Guyana. This is the complaint. Let me read on. Students. In 2006, at an NBS board meeting, 3 directors voted for an investment of $2 billion in the Berbice Bridge, while 3 voted zero investment. I recommended that the directors be guided by the Financial Institution Act in determining the quantum to invest in the Bobby's Bridge, to which they all agreed without any objections. Thus, 350 was invested then. Less than 2 hours later, Nanda Gopal telephoned me and said that President Jagdeo did not get the $2 billion for the bridge, and he, President, will, quote, deal with me, end of quote. After the wrongful charge in June 2007, certain directors of the NBS subsequently confided that the president called them to a meeting at the office of the president where the chairman and vice chairman lied that the police said they had evidence against me and the 2 managers. And the president asked the board, why do you have them there then? At this time, and that this is the main reason they agreed to fire us. Further, when written in January 2008 by my spouse, with information attached that the DPP wrongfully charged me and 2 managers, the president quickly confirmed the DPP in our previous acting position. Then amendments to the NBS Act were rushed through Parliament and hastily assented to by the president to make it impossible for NBS members to call special meetings in the event of wrongdoings. In November 2010, before the criminal charges were dismissed, President Jagdeo asked a family member of mine if I was willing to accept full pension and benefits in return for dropping the lawsuit. Given that I was told the civil matter would be drawn out for years, I decided to. And the president arranged for me to meet Dr. Nanda Gopal at the office of the president, who admitted that I did no wrong and agreed for legal fees to be paid by the New Building Society and that I can get my full pension and benefit. Surprisingly, NBS lawyer Ashton Chase sent a letter advising approximately half my monthly pension and lump sum due, stating it was agreed to after discussion at the highest level. This was refused. In 2007, Dr. Gopal was the vice chairman of New Building Society, as well as the permanent secretary of the office of the president. After the wrongful charge, Police Inspector Wims subsequently said to me that he never had evidence, but it was Gopal and Magdoum who helped the DPP place the trump-up charge against me and 2 managers. Certain NBS directors also subsequently confided that Magdoum and Gopal deceived them into believing that the police had evidence against us, that we were guilty and also negligent. And with the added pressure from President Jagdeo, they were coerced into agreeing to our dismissal. Dr. Ashley Singh is the Minister of Finance under whose jurisdiction all financial institutions, including the New Building Society, falls. Consequently, a request was made in June 2007 by the 3 victims to conduct an investigation. The letter and attachment, see copy here and referred to the request for investigation, was taken to him by hand by my son and daughter. And before collecting the envelope, Dr. Singh told them, let me assure you, your father is absolutely innocent. Weeks later, a team of Bank of Guyana officers conducted an investigation, but I nor the 2 managers were interviewed by them. One of the BOG officials later confided that the BOG report confirmed the innocence of the CEO and 2 managers. However, while the CIOG Muslim involvement was evident, that was not included in the report for fear of retaliation. But Dr. Singh and the governor of the Bank of Guyana were appraised of this fact. Dr. Singh never replied to the letter. Other sources for the bank revealed that the Bank of Guyana report confirmed that the 3 officers were innocent, but they were told to duck the report. I myself subsequently spoke to Dr. Singh about the wrongful charges and the non-payment of my pension benefit, and in response, his response was that he was surprised I did not receive my pension and benefit, but he said, you can hold your head up high. The police file, this is what the police file. The police file revealed that on the 31st of October 2006, one Compton Chase presented a Guyana passport and general powers of attorney to the NBS and made a withdrawal of 50 million from the account of Bibi Shamila Khan. Similar subsequent transactions were made over a period of time, totaling $69 million. Because of the amount involved, the teller had to get the okay from the senior bank staff, Ken Vincent, who examined the documents to verify their authenticity. He took the documents to Mr. Arjun, the CEO, who instructed Vincent to contact Bibi Khan to verify the withdrawal request and the power of attorney. It was later discovered that the power of attorney and the passport were forged and was an extensive con job. Conclusions. Here what the Ombudsman concluded. This is the last part. In my opinion, it is clear that the senior management of the New Building Society accepted the passport and power of attorney presented by Compton Chase as genuine documents. It is also clear that on that basis, Mr. Ken Vincent accepted the Canadian telephone number supplied by Chase as the telephone number of Bibi Shamila Khan and believed that the person he spoke to by telephone was Bibi Shamila Khan. And hear this, folks. The standard required for conviction of a criminal offense is proof beyond a reasonable doubt for every element of the offense, the act as well as the mental ingredients. Without intending any disrespect to anyone, I would state that carelessness, most species of negligence, foolhardiness, or even stupidity are not the standard of proof of guilt for a criminal offense. I do not hereby state any findings or conclusions that anyone at the NBS should be blamed for any of these. It follows, therefore, that if Mr. Vincent honestly and genuinely believed that he was dealing with Bibi Shamila Khan, his actions cannot be regarded as criminal. And this is a crucial issue that any court would have to grapple with before it could make a finding of guilt. I am therefore at a loss to fathom why the three senior managers were placed before the court before the arrest of the person calling himself Compton Chase. I find in the police file no evidence that would lead any fair-minded person to conclude that any one of the three managers was guilty of fraud. I cannot substitute my judgment for that of the DPP. I also note the constitutional provision that the DPP is subject to no direction of no one. I, however, wrote the DPP a letter dated the 29th of August 2014, which stated, I stated above that it's difficult for me to fathom why the three senior managers were charged in the first place. It is even more difficult for me to understand why fresh charges were instituted against these three managers, Ms. Amrita Prasad, together with Legal and Company. After Ashley Legal made a statement to the police naming a person whom he claimed he had assisted in the backtrack business, who appeared to be the mastermind. To rush to the conclusion that the three top managers had orchestrated a massive fraud from the account of a depositor with their own organization is an area that angels would fear to tread. Not to mention that Mr. Arjun, the CEO, was 6 months away from retirement. The humiliation and trauma suffered by these persons and their families must have taken a toll on their health, not to mention the effects of these events on the morale of the NBS staff. The missing exhibit indicates interference that was highly irregular. The fact that this document was removed from the police file is not surprising. Dr. Ashley Singh, Minister of Finance, has to date not commented on the allegations by Mr. Arjun that he deliberately suppressed the Bank of Guyana report. I refrain from stating any findings or anything allegedly said by the former President Jacques Dieu. I can only observe that persons who hold high office and are burdened with weighty affairs of state, who are only humans after all, need to be very careful what they say in expressing frustration in the presence of subordinates. And here this part, to those who study English history in high school during the colonial era might recall some outstanding events for which important lessons were taught. The outburst from King Henry II during the 12th century to some of his barons, and King Henry said, Would someone not rid me of this meddlesome priest? Impelled a number of barons to murder Archbishop Thomas Becket in Canterbury Cathedral, to the latter regret of the king. Cardinal Wolsey, who had overzealously served the king, King Henry VIII, lamented, "Had I served my God with half the zeal I served my king, he would not in mine age have left me to my enemies." That's Shakespeare play King Henry VIII, Act 3, Scene 2. Underlings sometimes improperly invoke the name or office of the powerful when they seek to oppress others. Folks, I've given you a mouthful there. But this thing is such a serious matter. This man, Maurice R. Jr., and the two other senior members of the New Building Society, and this is what I say. A decision back then was to invest. They want a decision to invest in the the Borbies Bridge. They wanted the bank, New Building Society, to invest $2 billion Guyana dollars. Mr. Arjun says that he advised them, look, let me follow the law. And based on what the law says, we can only invest $300 and some million. Right? This was communicated to Nanda Gopal, who was the permanent secretary of the office of the president. And he said, Nanda Gopal tell you the president can deal with you. Jack Dio, he said, president, you get the $2 billion, we can deal with you. And thereafter, the pressure started. There was this elaborate con job where a man conned the bank and that he had a passport and a power of attorney, and he withdrew $69 million from the account of one of the depositors who resided in Canada somewhere there. Big elaborate con job. And based on that, the people were charged. And it's significant to note that Mr. Arjun is claiming that while the bank is a New Building Society is private, it is controlled by government officials and persons from the Central Islamic Organization of Guyana, CIOG. Mr. Vincent, in his complaint, there's a letter someplace there, he named them. The man who was at the time, perhaps still is in charge of the CIOG, is the husband of the DPP. It's his name. So I'm not making these things up. I have the letter somewhere where this thing is named. He named this person, Mr. Vincent. And they're saying, if you read further, and I have the report from the entire report I have from the Ombudsman report. You know, I just do my research. I have the report. And let me say it to you here now, students. Anyone who wants a copy of the report, send me your email address, and I will send you a copy of the Ombudsman report with all the attachments. You're going to see what is revealed there. They claim in the thing that the main culprit, the mastermind behind this $69 million fraud, is a man, they claim, who is a Muslim belonging to the CIOG. That is what his claim. It's not me saying so. So ERC is not me saying that. That is contained in the report. The name of the person is mentioned in the report. He's the man who masterminded this big, elaborate con job. They get a man named Chase, and the thing. Elaborate con job. And then, before I bring in Mr. Conway, we have been saying it all along, and the Ombudsman, Justice retired, the late Winston Moore, had to point out to the DPP that even if you're stupid, even if you're negligent, right, that is not the standard for criminal charge. And he's saying that in this case, you have to have, as I say, you have to have two elements for a criminal charge: the actus reus and the mens rea. You have to have the act and the guilty knowledge. And what the Ombudsman is pointed out, that even though the act was there, it was clear that Vincent and Arjun and these people were conned. So there was never any guilty knowledge of this crime. That is what the report the judge said. And yet still the DPP, as he said, he can't fathom how the DPP in those circumstances would have recommended that these people be charged. And you know, some of the things when you follow it up, I think recently, Mr. Arjun had to go all the way to the CCJ to get his benefit. I understand that the pressure during this time, the man's son died. They think it's too wicked, these people wicked, and then they sit there, they pontificate, they tell you all kind of thing about rule of law and presumption of innocence. They are wicked. They are wicked. And let me say this, I am not superstitious, but I do believe that nothing in this life goes unpaid. And I have said to people, repeatedly. I just try to keep a little fit, do a little exercise, try to eat right, follow the doctor's advice, because I want to live to a ripe old age, to sit back and see them people punished, to see many of these people who tell you themselves that they're so religious. They go to the churches, they go to the masjid, they go to the temples, they go to all places of worship, and they prostrate themselves, and they pray, and they are wicked more than me and you sinners. They're wicked. And it will not gonna go on, it's not gonna go on, please. Because even if it's not them, their children or their children would pay. And I would jokingly tell some friend, I would have their own land, and remember, like Shadow, I want to see them like Jacob. You know who is Jacob in Shadow's song? They tell me don't walk with Jacob because Jacob does walk and shake up. And I want to see them like Jacob. I want to see them walk and shake up. Let me bring in Mr. Conway, and then I'm going to come back to this issue. See, this is such a disturbing issue. Sorry I had to indulge y'all with this long reading, but I thought that people need to know the full background of this story. Please go ahead.
Another case, of wickedness in high places. I will reiterate some of the things that you mentioned to put things in proper context. Here it was a guy turned up, I think he's some Chase is his name, with a power of attorney, passport, to withdraw, I think in the first instance, 15 million Ghana dollars from an account of somebody who was living in Canada. The persons who dealt with him, the first person, could not have approved anything. So they went up the chain of command, and CEO and others did due diligence according to the report. And there was a telephone number for the depositor. They called the number. The person said, yes, everything is okay. That same Chase subsequently cleaned up the account, I think to the tune of 69 million Ghana dollars. It was later discovered that the passport was bogus, the power of attorney was bogus. And as you mentioned, and the real man behind the thing, the real con man behind the thing, was a Muslim, a member of the CIOG. Hope you follow me. And the head of the CIOG, we know who he is, and the head is the husband of the director of public prosecution. Things started happening. Barajagdio wanted $2 billion for the operation, the construction and operation of the Borbis River Bridge. The CEO say after research, you could only get 350 million. Nanda Gopalu was a PS officer, the president told the CEO, Jack, they're going to deal with you. And the thing started. Remember the connections? Government, CIOG, DPP. You mentioned, CEO, that the Inspector Wins, and I know Inspector Wins, he was a fraud man or a man fraud investigator. Let me see you from a fraud investigator at the CID, the main fraud investigator at CID. He died a couple of years ago, I think, after being involved in an accident and prolonged illness. And the issue started. Men were charged. They didn't have the evidence available. They reported he complained to the Ombudsman. And the Ombudsman said, you mentioned the words negligence, stupidity, foolhardiness, are not standard of proof of criminal offense. Saying, hey, you don't get nothing against this man. And further to that, they thief out documents from the file or remove documents from the file, all in an effort to pressure these people because they did not give Bharat the $2 billion for the construction and operation of the bridge. And this is not the only case of this nature that we have. There are several cases. Families were destroyed in this matter. Mention the CEO's son died. Persons had to go to the CCJ to get their money, to get their hard-earned benefits. And all because a private entity is controlled by the CIOG, according to the Ombudsman, the government, and the CIOG as direct, I would say, controlling authority over the DPP. Therefore, this happened, shocking, and many other instances like this took place. So, Paul, I am not surprised that these things like this happen and will continue to happen because of the government and political and other connections.
Right. And you know, the Justice Moore, the Ombudsman then, actually indicated misconduct by the DPP. That is be saying, you know, and I'm be saying, he said that, let me find the report. He's actually insinuating that the DPP misconducted. I am therefore at a loss to fathom why three senior officers three managers were placed before the court before the arrest of the person called himself Captain Chase. I find in the police file no evidence that would lead any fair-minded person to conclude that any one of the three managers was guilty of fraud. We have the same experience, politically motivated. And I ask the question again. I have lots of lawyers friends. Maybe I have to contact with them. What is the procedure to bring the DPP up before the Judicial Service Commission, which according to the Constitution has jurisdiction to investigate or to discipline the DPP? Because there are many, many instances. This one goes all the way back to when this report, and since then, the pattern has continued. In our case, the magistrate had to remark on the 27th of December last year that there was not an iota of evidence for us to be charged with conspiracy to commit fraud. None. But if you look at the series of events and the time frame of events, they wanted to get rid of us from the Police Service Commission. And I am aware that when that file with us went to the DPP's chambers, the DPP was on leave. Shalimar Aliak SC was on leave. And the people who looked at it saw that there was no evidence. I think they looked at it either a Thursday or a Friday and said that in light of the fact that the DPP will resume on Monday, let's wait for her to make the decision. And therefore, everyone was shocked. That is my report. That is what I got. When the DPP said approved, I know long ago, the very DPP used to write extensively in files to give direction. My information is that in recent times, when you come to this politically motivated matter, all she would write one word, approve, and sign to it. That is what is going on. And it is time that, I don't know if it's the Bar Association, I don't know if the Human Rights Association, I don't know who, but somebody need to carefully examine what the DPP has been doing to people, violating people's rights. Violating people's rights, you're charging people, you are there as a gatekeeper more or less to see whether there's prima facie evidence for persons to be charged. And no prima facie evidence. Not me saying this, you know. The magistrate in our case said that. Justice Winston Moore, the Ombudsman, said it in this case. And this is only two that we mentioned. You remember the DPP had the policeman Eastman before the court for about 6 years on a murder charge, and then inexplicably discontinue the proceedings against him. Remember the matter with that reached all the way to the CCJ with the murder and the quarantine, where the CCJ had to upbraid the chairman, Mr. Sanders. I've been looking at it the other day. Had to upbraid the DPP and cause the law to be changed and remove the authority from the DPP to instruct the magistrate to open a case and to commit the accused person to stand trial. Laws have to be changed, and we still get the person sitting there. The DPP still sits there with all of these things coming up against her. So many cases went to the court, the appeal court, not the appeal, to the high court, and judges have remarked that there's no evidence against people after they spent 3, 4, 5 years in jail. The same DPP instructed fraud charges against Irfan Ali, charge against Nandlal, charge against Ashley Singh, and the same DPP on the change of government withdraw the charges. And you want to tell me we got the people sitting back and allow this to continue to happen? You're not going to take this matter up to the Judicial Service Commission or somewhere? You're not going to do that? That is what is going on. And you know, they talk about the New Building Society. I'm trying to find out who the directors or the board, or the people who comprise the board. Because they are complicit in this too. They are complicit based on Justice Moore's report. They are complicit. And I know that retired Commissioner McDonald, Floyd McDonald, used to be a member of that board. Perhaps he still is. And the question is perhaps whether he was at that time part of the board, whether he's part of this whole elaborate thing to get rid of these men, all because they did not give Jack Dio his $2 billion for the Bobby's River Bridge. And let me tell you this too. Yeah, man, saying the man shoot up people on the Essequibo coast. Video evidence is there. And the DPP decided to withdraw the charge. Video evidence of this shooting is there. And let me put up this thing. The Ombudsman, for those of you who don't know, we educate, we teach and we educate. They say the Ombudsman of Guyana operates under the Act and amendments made in the Act. We act on complaints filed in any form or manner against officers or employees of government or any other agency. Our mandate is to protect, guide, and serve. If you have any unresolved complaint or unjust treatment meted out to you by the government agencies or department, we may be able to help. We are free and impartial and based on our decisions on the evidence submitted by both parties. And then you get the contact information here. The office is located at 29 Brigham, Georgetown. That is just in, for those of you who know Georgetown, is in Brigham, east of Camp Street on the northern side. You're going to see a big board there, the Ombudsman. They have their email address. They have their telephone number. I confirmed this morning that there is a Ombudsman. What's the name? I have it written some. Oh, the current Ombudsman is Justice Winston Patterson. Retired Justice Winston Patterson is the current Ombudsman. So, you have to make use of these constitutional bodies. It is there for complaints. So if you have a complaint against government officials, the police, or whoever, you can go to the Ombudsman office there and you can make a complaint. Yeah, I said 29 is 39 Brigham. Thanks, Lado. It's 39 Brigham, Georgetown. That is where the Ombudsman office is located. And they say it's Justice Winston Patterson is the Ombudsman at this state. Let me bring in Mr. Conway to give his closing remarks. And we are going to wind down for today. CC, first of all, the members of the Board of New Building Society, and comment on what was just said.
Okay, I said, over and over again that the DPP is politically inclined, politically controlled. Too many cases, including this court one we're talking, but no evidence available. and the DPP will say charge. Numerous cases going before the magistrate and going in front the High Court and finishing at no case submissions. And the same DPP we find when do recommended who advise charges later on turn back and null pros with no fresh evidence, with no new evidence. Something is really wrong. And as you had indicated, the DPP isn't allowing itself, the office of the DPP. The DPP could be disciplined by the Judicial Service Commission. It's in the Constitution. But I'm not certain what really would trigger it, or I know if certain people have balls to challenge it. It is wrong. It's a breach of the Constitution. And the Constitution said that the office of the DP comes under disciplinary control of the Judicial Service Commission, Paul. Too many cases the DPP said charge and then come back and say null pros. Or said charge and when there is no evidence, as in this current case. It's time that either persons get together and challenge the actions of the DPP and bring the DPP before the Judicial Service Commission. What's to trigger it, I don't know. But it's there in the law that the DPP comes under the disparate control of the Judicial Service Commission. And it's high time that action be taken in that direction.
I agree with you. You know, we have even earlier we lamented the fact that matters before the court are taking so long, right? Because in many cases we can see the court is overburdened with matters that should not get there in the first place. It's a waste of judicial time to have matters put before the court when you know that there's no evidence, just to fulfill perhaps a political desire to see people stigmatized, to get people thrown out of office. You're put before the court, knowing full well at the time when they're placed there, you don't have evidence to convict them. Wickedness. It is wickedness. But it comes all back to what GHK Lal said, that what we have today is not a government, but a gang of gangsters. For the most part, what Guyanese have for leaders today are nothing but out of control lunatics, pathological liars, unreconstructed racists, and political sadists. That is what it says, and this is revealed every day. We see it. Every day we are seeing this. Folks, you would have noted that we didn't have time to touch on the sanction today, but we felt it was important that we address this new building society issue and this nonsense that Kit Nascimento wrote, and that has taken up the time. Now, let me tell you, in terms of looking forward, the Monday is either the 31st of June or the 1st of July, depending how you look at it. If you are looking at it from the perspective of the extended squatter, then Monday will be the 31st of June. And for those new students who don't understand what we mean, check back. Last year, the extended squatter who sits in the commissioner's chair, he interdicted a rank from the 31st of June. So June, in some years, in their calendar, has 31 days. We know in the regular calendar that we operate from is 30 days. 30 days of September, April, June, and November. I learned this since they're going to school, right? So Monday will be the 1st of July, not the 31st of June, the 1st of July, which in Guyana is a public holiday in respect of CARICOM Day. Guyana is one of the few countries in CARICOM that observe CARICOM Day as a public holiday. It's a public holiday on Monday. And you wanted to know if we're going to get class? Yes, we're going to have class on Monday. We are going to have class on Monday because we got to deal with this sanction things further. There's some information floating around that we want to make sure that we bring to your attention. I got time today to deal with that. And that's why I didn't even start it. But on Monday, God spare life. You got to always hope and pray that the good Lord will allow us to be here for the next session. So Monday at 11 o'clock, public holiday, so we should get enough people in class. And before I go, I want to again commend you, compliment you on your attendance today. We have to compliment you on your attendance today, both in the schoolyard and in the classroom. Oh, this encourages us to go and do research, and we're going to come to you on Monday and bring you some valid information. One thing before I go, I almost forget to mention, you know, me and all these code troubles, while they try to shut me up. I got word yesterday or day before yesterday that the lawsuit filed against me by Karen Bush, he was senior superintendent then, assistant commissioner, the man in charge of Soku, that lawsuit, where he said I defamed him, the judge is to undo the decision, the ruling on Friday. Friday is that. So again, you know, they said do nothing, fear nothing. I have no fear, absolutely no fear. And therefore, that decision is going to be rendered on Friday, and I'll keep you folks informed. I ain't hiding nothing. I'm not hiding nothing. So until Monday, the 1st of July, or again, depending on where you are, you might determine that it's the 31st of June. But for me, it's the 1st of July, Monday, the 1st of July. We're going to come to you and with the next episode, God's willing. So until then, stay well. Bye. Let me get me act together here.